Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Brad, and I just wanted to check in and give you a little quick update on what's going on here at the church, with everything that's going on around the world, and in our neighborhood especially. So obviously, the coronavirus has been a big issue going on around our world, and first and foremost, our prayers go out to any of those that are affected. And as communities get more and more information and knowledge, more and more families are affected, more and more anxiety rises. Our prayers are with those that are affected and just what's going on with that. Obviously, many of you that are going to be watching this video have experienced an incredible shock to your system this week, whether that is a sporting event that you were hoping to attend, whether that's a thing that your kids were a part of, whether that's the school that you teach at being closed, your business shut down. Obviously, we are in an unprecedented time in the history of our lives that is like no other. And I know that amongst those that are in this, going to watch this video, some are thinking this is no big deal. Some are thinking that this is the end of the world. And I just want to say that I understand all of those spots and places that you're at, and I wanted to come to you in neither one of those places. I'll describe it this way. I don't think that God wants us to live in a place of fear. By no means did God give us a spirit of fear or of timidity, but of power, love, of self-discipline. And so to simply live in a panic scenario, to have a heart that races and is so worried about the next news story that's going to come on or what this is going to do, this is a virus that is dangerous, and yet at the same time we can't live in fear alone. God does not want us to live there. At the same time, God doesn't invite us to live in folly either. He doesn't want us to live in a way or a situation where we are just like, oh, it doesn't matter and it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. And so we need to not be foolish about how we go about things. We need to not be foolish in our response to things that are frustrating and disappointing to us. I know the disappointment that many of you are experiencing. I know the hurt and the pain and the anger and the sometimes the lack of understanding that we all have about it. It doesn't make sense. The whole world going crazy in my mind. But to act foolishly is not what God would invite us to do. Instead of living in fear, instead of acting like a fool, I think what we do is we remain faithful. We remain faithful to our lives, to our Father in heaven, to our faith that we have, and we look at this as an opportunity for God's glory to expand. I don't like some of the things that have happened. I don't like some of the situations that we're in. I really hate that so many of our freedoms have been stripped away, but I also understand as a leader of something very small, the incredible burden that a leader can feel, the responsibilities that they have to make decisions based on limited information in a quick time for the betterment of those that are in their care. And so again, we don't live in fear. We don't just pursue folly. Instead, we seek to be faithful. So with that as a backdrop, at our church, we spent time today waiting and being patient, wanting to see the situation unfold. We met with the leadership today, and we met for a long time. We went through a number of scenarios. We thought about this, and we went to that, and we're pretty sure we were set this way, and then we ended up back that way. And about at the end of our meeting, when we thought we had a plan, we were going to try to have church on Sunday. We were going to host and make things work. Governor Whitmer in Michigan announced that there were to be no gatherings above 250 people. Now, initially, again, if you're more the skeptical type, or you want to be, just the fight against the machine people, you'd be like, well, good, there's never 250 people at one time in any one room in our church. But the intent is that as big groups, we are been executively ordered not to meet. And I think a part of our response of faithfulness is to trust the government above us. Now, again, this isn't a spiritual issue, and so we're going to trust that the government that's in charge of us is making decisions based on our best interest. And so we are not going to be meeting officially for church at Novesta on this Sunday. The executive order is for 3 weeks. We're going to look at it as a Sunday-by-Sunday approach and see what that looks like. But for this Sunday, March 15th, we are not going to be having a formal church service at Novesta on Sunday. What we are going to do is this. We're going to open up our church building and make it available to anyone that would like to come by from 9 to 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. And me, along with some of the leaders, are going to be here. We're going to set up a place for communion. We've taken some precautions to do it a little bit differently than we normally do so that some of the germ things will not be taking place. But we're going to set up communion, and we invite you to come. Leaders are going to be there to pray with you. We're going to invite you to spend time in prayer, whether that's praying for your neighbors, praying for your family, maybe something like that. Just being able to stop in and be a part of that, to participate in communion. but again, not as a formal gathering. At 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, I'm going to be going live and just sharing a sermon about good news. And I shared a little bit about that earlier this week, but man, I just think that this is a time in our nation's history, a time in my life when I need to be reminded about the good news of Jesus. And so we're going to share that starting at 10 a.m. through Facebook. Also going to work on trying to get that so it comes live through YouTube as well at the same time for those that aren't on social media. That's going to be a work in progress here in a little bit to see what else we can get, what other avenues we can create. In addition to that, we are not going to be doing youth group on Sunday night, and for this week, we're not going to encourage any groups to meet here at the church building. And so Bible studies and different groups that may normally gather, we're going to invite to just take this week to not as we watch the situation unfold and see what becomes of it. That doesn't mean that we want to stop you from being the church. If anything, that we should be more of the church than what we've ever been before. There are neighbors who are going to need love. There are kids who might be hungry. There are opportunities to serve. There may be overwhelmed people with anxiety that need a friend. And so I invite us to be the church. If you feel comfortable welcoming people into your home, if you want to open up your doors, maybe you want to host a watch party on Sunday for the live stream. Maybe you have people over for a Sunday brunch, and at 10 a.m. you turn on the TV and you link the Facebook there and you invite them in and you do church that way. And you almost create it as an opportunity for God's glory to expand to people that maybe aren't going to come in these doors, but maybe would come to your house. I believe there are lots of ways for us to love. I think Mr. Rogers said in times of tragedy and times of chaos, look for the helpers. My prayer is that we as our church, we as Novestans would be the helpers in this moment, that we'd see opportunities and we'd seek to meet them, that we'd see possibilities for love and we'd offer it. Again, we are in prayer about this as a leadership. We're not trying to live our lives in fear. We certainly don't want to be foolish. Instead, we're just seeking to be faithful. And just looking forward to what God's going to do in this time. I told a couple people this today. Our nation has been broken for quite a while, and I think many of us know that. We feel that. We look around at the world and we think, boy, what a mess we have. And whether we like it or not, we have been granted 3 weeks to put some of that stuff back together. We've been granted family time, and we've been granted opportunity, and there's very little distractions. For some of us, the idolatry of the idol of sports is going to reveal itself, because you and I were both pretty crushed when they canceled them on us, and yet now we get to figure out what life's going to be like without it. And so I would encourage you with a couple of things. One, take care of your spiritual health. Make sure that you realize what good news Jesus has, and make sure you've responded to that as Lord and Savior. Make sure you've trusted in Him as King. Secondly, maybe it's time for some physical health. I know the weather's not great now, but it's not bad. Get out and go for a walk. Put on a hat, grab some mittens, and catch some fresh air. Work on your physical health. We often make excuses about why we can't and why we don't. Well, we got a couple weeks to put that aside. Maybe our financial house is a wreck, and man, this last week's tore us up because all of our hope is in a stock market number. Maybe this is a good time to sit down and really figure out where we're at and make some good decisions and choices about that. I don't know what that means for you. Maybe it's just time with family. Maybe you need to pull out one of those board games that are sitting in the closet and just look your kids in the eyes and have a moment together. Share a laugh, share a smile, and make a memory. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me during this time. I am praying for you, as I hope that you'll be praying for me. I believe that God is going to use this for His glory. And it's not pleasant, and it's not fun, and we're still trying to figure it all out. But I'm just praying that we as a church would be a voice of leadership and love in the community and in the area that we can, that we would just extend hope and joy and peace to everywhere we go. I think that's all that I got. Hopefully some of this made sense. Again, Sunday morning, we're not going to have church, but the church will be open from 9 to 11. We'll have communion available. Us leaders will be here to pray with you. And at 10 a.m., I'm going to go live and share the message about good news of Jesus Christ. And I'd just love for you to be a part of that through the live stream. And I use this as an opportunity to share love and light with others. Have a super awesome, amazing Friday. Love you all. I really mean that. Love you all. Peace out. Deuces.